Okay, in this video I'd like to show you the way I write my notes. For instance, if I was playing F like that, F, I would be writing down F, A, C, F. Now to differentiate between this F, lower F and a higher F, I would write, I'll put a little arrow there. If it's a middle one, I would not. If it's a middle F, I would just not put anything. But if it's a lower F, I would put an arrow that goes that way. And if it's a higher one than the middle, I would put a arrow that goes the other way. Okay. If the notes are fairly fast, okay, then I would put some dashes here to tell myself that, you know, these are to be played rather than. Okay, and if this is a set of notes and then there's a break here that goes into another one. Okay, there's a break there, then I will write another set of notes, E, G, C, E. Okay. If the notes, if I have to play a note, for example, in a staccato fashion that goes. Okay, so I would do like that. Okay, I would do exclamation marks just to indicate that, you know, it's just short little notes. Now, if a note is to be played in a jazzy way, like for example, so I would go, I'll put in the notes as C, D, E, and then I would do a wave like that to tell myself that it's a jazzy note, and I know that I have to touch this G here. So we'll talk about touch more in another block, but this wave here is just meant to tell me that this part is kind of jazzy, okay? Now, okay, if I got short little notes, C, D, E, for example, here it goes like that. Okay, I might put a dot here just to tell me it's a bit slower. It doesn't just go, it doesn't go like that. Okay, that's another way I indicate timing. And if the notes have to be played together, for example, okay, then I would go C, E. Now together, E and G, I would put a circle. F and A. To E and G. So that's the way I indicated, circle it, meaning double notes. Sometimes the double notes could be, it could be like that. Okay, in that case, I would still be using circles, but I would be using an arrow to indicate that it's a lower note, and this one is a lot higher. Okay, a G. So just to differentiate, you can use the arrows again. What else am I want to show you? Okay, when it comes to putting chords, for example, if for example a chord of this part here is a chord of C, if I put C here, it means that when I'm playing the C note here, the chord of C has to be played there, right there, and then it just goes, C is good for the duration here until it reaches the next chord, for example G up here. Okay, then G has to be played in this space here, or if there's a note here, then G is to be played just above when that note happens. Now sometimes, for example, there's a D minor here and a G. That means that that chord is D minor, but I actually have to be holding a G bass. Okay, that just tells me that it's there's probably a name for this chord, but you know, I just don't bother. I just go make it easy for myself. I know I have to play D minor here, and I'm holding the G bass here. Now another variation is, okay, let me just write a string of notes here, C, B, E, G, B, A, C, and then For example, there's a C chord there, and there's a G bass here. Sorry, a G chord. Now, sometimes the song, the bass on the song, there's a bit of walking bass here. There could be a G, A, B before the C chord. That's just bass. So I'll write that there as a special bass because that needs to be played because that's in the song. And sometimes it's nicer to, you know, put in those basses there. If I don't put in those basses there, then I'll just be going from G and then I'll just progress to C naturally. But that's just all walking bass. So sometimes I could even have C if I want to put some fancy bass like, then I would go C, E, F, F sharp, G. Okay, those are some exceptional basses, but I would not be writing that bass all along if it's just continuous. If I know that the song had that continuously, I'll just only write that, maybe put a few dots telling me that that's the way the bass is supposed to be played. What else is there? And you know, there are parts, of course, if this melody finishes off and it goes to another set of melody and that's in a different key, then I would put here change key to F, and then all the following notes here would all be in the F key, and then of course the chord probably starts with an F instead. So that just cues me to change the key to F. And then, you know, sometimes this part has to be played slower, so I'll just put comments like slower, maybe towards the end, just when the song's about to end. What else can I say? Then sometimes there could be like G, A, B, C. Now I might finish off on the chord here and it sounds nice to have an arpeggio there, so I'll just put a ARP. So I'll note play that, you know, when I'm hitting that C chord, I will be going like that. Okay, so I'm playing an arpeggio for C. So basically, you know, writing your own notes, you do whatever, you know, whatever works for you, as long as you can give it meaning, and while playing you are able to see it quickly, you know what to do. That's all that matters, because after a while when you keep doing the same thing, it applies to all the other songs that you learn, and you know, things become easier and easier. Okay.